appearance here, scaring all the Rocks fans. Bang, 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 turn them sideways and stick them straight up. You can't do that.
You can kiss my ass.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Welcome to John 316 and Proto Man's Under the Ring podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to Under the Ring podcast. I'm your host, John 316. Alongside with me is DLB. D, what are we talking about today?
What's going on, people? I'm DLB, as he said. So I figured for this episode of Under the Ring, we could talk about the Stone Cold podcast that's getting ready to feature Brock Lesnar. And I'm curious from your standpoint, what do you, first off, with these Stone Cold podcasts, do you feel that they're at all scripted in a sense?
First of all, what the network does, I don't even consider really a podcast, because the definition of a podcast is it's a radio broadcast. It's not a video broadcast, and it's not done. It's done live, but then it's put out. Once it's put out onto the internet, people can download it. That's a podcast, not when it's done live. So what they're doing on the network alone is not a podcast. But sometimes I think it's scripted, but other times I don't. Like some questions they do go in, but they don't really ask all the real questions that you want to hear.
Like, for example, when he interviewed Paul Heyman, like anybody who listens to Stone Cold's actual podcast, like on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from, like he's interviewed Paul Heyman before. That wasn't his first time interviewing Paul Heyman. And none of his interviews with Paul Heyman ended the way that interview with Paul Heyman did when Paul Heyman started asking him if he was going to come back and wrestle. Right? So he kind of turned into the character Stone Cold towards the end of that podcast. And any of you guys who haven't watched it on the WWE Network, go check it out. And so because Paul Heyman represents Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar is going to be on the Stone Cold podcast, the overall main question I have for you is, do you think that this might be a setup of some sort?
As of what everyone's saying now, everyone's saying that Stone Cold's definitely not going to be wrestling again. It's came out of his own mouth saying that he's not going to be doing anything. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him at WrestleMania. I'm sure he's gonna play some part, but I don't see him wrestling again. I don't see it being anything good for his career, his character. I think that boat's long gone. I would love to see him wrestle, don't get me wrong, like anybody else would, but I don't see him wrestling again. Not worth it. After you saw what happened with Sting, it's not worth it.
So here's my take on it. I definitely don't see, if I saw him wrestling,
not Brock Lesnar.
It would, exactly. Because I remember a couple of days ago, we were having the conversation, and you were saying that you felt that he would come back and wrestle Brock, and I'm like, I can't see him going to Suplex City on that bad neck. Like, that's like paralyzation waiting to happen. So I'm real curious to see, well, what does happen? Like, you know, like
how they're gonna play it off. I know, I do. I don't understand how they're gonna. The whole reason for this is to lead up for something.
Well, when is the podcast? Is it before or after Hell in a Cell?
Is this coming? Not this Monday. The following Monday. I think it's the 19th.
And Hell in a Cell is.
Hell in a Cell is the 25th. Okay.
So maybe that'll be what. Excuse me. Maybe that's what it's going to be about then. Is Hell in a Cell. Well, I'm pretty sure that's definitely going to be a part of the questions for sure.
I know, but you don't think they're going to bring up the whole history with them? About him walking out of the company because of Brock Lesnar and all that. That's going to be brought up, I'm sure.
Do you think Paul Heyman will be at the podcast?
Oh, without a question. Paul Heyman is the only guy that talks for him. So I'm sure you're going to see Paul Heyman right by his side.
Yeah, John, man, that's a super interesting take, honestly.
All right, guys, this has been another episode of Under the Ring Podcast. If you guys want to continue to hear me and DLB discuss wrestling, make sure you hit that like and subscribe to the channel. And we're out.